guys, this is the first episode of the Peak Nation podcast. It is brought to you by Agogi Combatives and Agogi Armory. Trevor trains at Agogi Combatives. Some of the best men that I personally know. They just build men at Agogi. They don't only teach jiu-jitsu. They don't only teach how to fire a weapon. They are mentors and some of the best mentors in the game. They're at 95 Hunt Drive in Rossville, Georgia. If you're around the Tennessee, Chattanooga area, there is a hidden gem in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and it's Agogi Combatives. Sterling Peace is an amazing jiu-jitsu instructor, and he also heads up the kids program there. So if you have a child that you want to teach jiu-jitsu or want them to learn jiu-jitsu, go over to Agogi Combatives. Or if you're a woman or a man that wants to learn it, go to Agogi Combatives, and they'll take care of you. Trevor, this is what this podcast is about, brother. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing good, man. Doing real well. I'm excited about all this. I appreciate you helping me put it together, Kyle. It really does mean the world to me, man. But yeah, I'm just fired up and excited about my life and kind of where things are heading right now.
You have a story to tell, man. That was kind of, that's why I wanted to even, get you out there. You're already out there. You're a UFC competitor. You've had some, amazing fights already in your young career in the UFC. But I was thinking, what are we going to talk about on a podcast, a Peak Nation podcast, Trevor Peak's podcast? And every time you get the microphone, man, you always give the glory to God. You're one of the most humble people that I know, to start this episode off, kind of keep the trajectory of the conversation going in a positive way and the way that you want it to go. So, James 4:10 says, humble yourself before the Lord and he will exalt you. That verse being implemented in life, man, I can't think of one person that I know more than you that has really lived that verse, man. We were talking about how every time you get a microphone, you're always giving the credit to God and what he's done for your life. I mean, what does that particular verse mean to you, man?
Well, I mean, man, I wasn't anything for a long time, and everything that, I am now and everything that I hope to become, it's just strictly blessings from the good Lord, so I feel like people kind of forget where they came from in life, they forget how hard they maybe where they was in their past and stuff, and then they start, maybe thinking that they got to where they're at because of themselves. People get the big head and I did this, I did that, and I know every good thing that I have going on in my life and where I'm at, I know it's because, I trusted God and got a relationship with Jesus and stuff. So, and that's kind of the whole exalting you part, you give the Lord credit of where you're at in life. I feel like, he wants that credit. He's the master, he's the game planner, he's the creator. I mean, he's everything, man. So he wants the credit. I'm not going to sit here and act like that I'm anything special by my own doings, man. Everything I am has come straight from the good Lord.
Yeah,
every good thing that I am has come from the Lord. Let me say it that way. I got my demons just like everybody else, man. We all got our fleshly desires and stuff that we have to battle with on the daily, man. But every good fiber in my being is from the good Lord.
Yeah. I mean, it's and the Bible is full of anti-heroes, right? It's a lot of guys that weren't anything without the direction of God, and I think a lot of times in a church setting, I'm not saying the church is bad at all. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying a lot of times I think that the message gets kind of misrepresented. And what's really neat is, or what's awesome is your story, or, what we call it in faith, a testimony, really kind of points people to that direction of, yeah, you can be out there. You can have messed up. but when God breaks you down enough and you're humbled, and then
Oh
he
yeah,
can take you to a whole another place that you never even dreamed of, you know. That's that's the story of Trevor Peak, right?
that's it, man. Yeah, I don't think people realize just how bad off in life, I've been at times, man. I mean, I thank the good Lord, I was able to, keep all my teeth and, all them good things. But man, I mean, I was pretty far out there, man. I was on that old dope, drinking, drugging, just doing, everything in my power to not be sober, man. And I've, there's everybody's had shortcomings and stuff like that, but I mean, it's amazing the things that he's done in my life, man. I mean, I used to carry around a I used to carry around a wet rock to, resharpen my points and all that stuff, reuse them. I mean, dude, it's mind blowing, where God's got me and stuff. And I try not to think on them days too awful much, but it's good to think about them every once in a while. And, kind of, that's the whole humble part, that's thinking about where I was at and the good blessings I have now, man. It really helps me keep things in perspective and help me stay focused and not get too big headed, man. I'm confident in myself, I'll carry myself with confidence in the octagon and talking with my opponents, stuff like that. But like at the end of the day, man, I know I'm only where I'm at because of God. And I would feel like if everybody in the world would come to grips on just that Bible verse alone, man, this whole place would be a whole lot better.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the first time I saw you fight, the first time I ever saw you fight, uh, it was wild. You talk about that confidence. I was like, man, this guy right here. I mean, you were. It was like watching. I'm a big boxing fan, man. It's like Arturo Gotti. You had that Arturo Gotti grit with the Rocky Marciano precision. You know what I mean? Like, and it was only your second pro fight, and I was like, man, this guy's going to be a wild man. And going back to you getting the mic, I'd never talked to you before. I was like, man, I'm ready to hear what this guy has to say, you know. And you get on there, man, and the humbleness comes out, and I was like, wow, like this is a guy that yeah, in the ring, you compete with a tenacity, with a, you know, but it's on display from where you've come from and where he's taken you. And you've always given credit, you know, where credit's due, and dude, that's why you're surrounded by the people you are. Those great coaches that are go combatives, you got Jeff Powell, who's been with you from the beginning almost, um, and it's amazing too because those kind of guys they have the same attitude that you have.
Yeah.
You don't hear these guys begging for credit for your career. You know what I mean? It's obvious that they were a big part of it, but they're not trying to point a finger to saying, that it's just dude. I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen a person to go from your background and where you came from to where you humbled yourself, you got right, and then just where he's taken you, man. It's really astounding. When you look back, Trevor, when you look back at where this journey's gone, is it not wild, man?
Yeah, it blows my mind, man. I talked to me and my dad talked a good bit, about the whole my past and where I've ended up and everything, and he gets me just plumb fired up about it, man. I swear he thinks I could take 20 men at the same time. I feel like, but he's just he'll kind of be like, can't you see like how everything you've been through, all the hardships, you're raising, just everything. Can't you see how it's all led you to this moment? He's like, he's tailor made for it, son. And it just, yeah, he fires me up, man. I'll want to run through a wall right now just thinking about our conversations. That's like one of my favorite things to do after a fight, man. Is just go sit with my dad. He'll blow my head completely up. I have to read that Bible verse we read after I left his house.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
true though, man.
It is, man. Fighters, there's some good fighters in the world that didn't really go through too many hardships, had a fairly easy life, but man, I truly believe with every fiber of my being that the absolute greatest fighters in the world are the ones that was forged in the fire, just rough upbringing, rough choices, rough path, and then it molds them into just a unbreakable character. My God, man, I've had so many things in my life, that people don't even know about. That, I mean, I feel like people would have blew their brains out on a lot of the days that I've had, just scary, terrifying moments in my life, man. That like I said, it's rough, but ultimately, God's brought me through all them times and everything, man. And it's wild to me, everything that I have going on now.
Yeah, it's nuts. And it's even crazy. I was thinking about this the other day. I was a correctional officer for 12 years in the Alabama State Penitentiary. So I was just thinking about the path that, going here, and now, you could have very well been an inmate, Trevor. You know what I mean? Very easily.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure, man. I mean that last trouble I got into, man, they tried to send me to prison. I mean they ended up giving me a split. I had to stay in Alabama, for a whole year and train in my grandpa's shed, but pretty much by myself. I had a couple of friends that come train with me and stuff. But yeah, man, they tried to send me to prison. I had a 5-year prison sentence over my head, and but I did the things I was supposed to. I did my year of community corrections and just kept following my heart and kept pursuing this dream. And one thing led to another, and got the UFC opportunity. And then once I got the contract, it was I had done so well. I mean, I kept myself, even before I did the year on community corrections, I kept myself on color code voluntarily for 20 months.
Yeah.
So I mean, I had a long list of things that that they could see that I had been doing good and everything. So they actually, I guess they all come to an agreement that the life that I was trying to live was going to be like kind of a headache for them to deal with getting me permission to do this or permission to go here and all this stuff. So I guess they all had a meeting, and they trusted me enough to cut me off of paper and everything, and give me a chance at life. So I'm just super grateful for that, man. This stuff's been, I mean, in the beginning when I called to ask if I could go to the Contender Series, they're like, we don't know if you can go to Las Vegas. And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, that's the fight capital of the world. I was so mad. I said, well, if I can't go to Las Vegas, I don't know why I'm even doing this anymore. I was like, I get y'all not wanting me to leave the country and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, I understand that. But like, if I can't go to Las Vegas, I'm pretty lost with my life. And she was like, hey, whoa, I didn't say for sure, chill out, bro. But they made some phone calls and made it happen, man. And that's been a super, super, super huge blessing in my life, man, to have that weight off of my shoulders and, give me a little bit of my freedom back.
Yeah, it's what for a former correctional officer, Trevor, you were in trouble one time. We could have met in a completely different scenario,
Yeah.
But God's will, here we are, dude. You know what I mean? Like that's the kind of stuff that sometimes it just hits me in the brain. I'm just like, wow, like look at this, man. Like it's just the story. The story is too amazing. You know what I mean? To not have God in it. Like you can't write this. Like this is just a story that's got his hand all over it, man. It's crazy to just think about where you've come from, where you are now. I remember that dinner after your first UFC fight, man. And you were at the head of this big long table, man.
Oh yeah.
And there's been little moments, in this journey and that I've been fortunate to be a part of, man. And I remember that was one of the moments where I was like, wow, like look how far this kid has come from, man. Like, look, he's at the head of the table now,
Yeah.
he's at the head of the table. I mean, it was just What was that like? Your first victory in the UFC, traveling all the way down there to Vegas. You got your win on the Contender Series you were talking about earlier, but then that first fight, man.
It was a blast, man. That was one of the most fun times I've ever had in the octagon, man. Honestly, I kind of was working up some nerves before we went out there. It's easy to work up some nerves, man, right before a fight. Everybody does it, I feel like, for the most part. But I just told myself go out there and have fun, and that's what I did. I think that's where a lot of that wildness come from with the whole standing hammer fist and just the chaos, man. Like I know I got to dial a lot of that down, man. But honestly, I have so much fun being unorthodox, man. Just being wild and slinging Judy chops and tomahawk punches, whatever you want to call them, man. I mean, I just love the wildness. I'll dial it in. I won't ever get rid of it completely, man. Just because if I got rid of the chaos completely, I wouldn't enjoy it as much anymore. So I'm gonna keep dialing everything in, keep improving, but there'll always be a little bit of that chaos, hectic. What is he gonna do next? That'll always be there.
Yeah, you're not just a headhunter though. The body shots you throw, uh, you break guys down. I mean, I I can understand, but you're a super technical guy. I think it gets lost in the output. It's what people, they lose it. I mean, these are combinations you're throwing. I mean, you're not just wildly, blindly throwing punches. That's, you know, knowing you, that's where I have to get off the chat stuff. When I see people
I do
start.
too. Internet's brutal, man. They're absolutely brutal. They'll chew you up and spit you out, man. That's I figured that out quickly after I started catching a little bit of the hype train. It's my God, they're brutal, man. I get a kick out of it. Sometimes I actually get pretty fired up about it, but I try to steer away and not get too dove into it.
Yeah, I think I've had a few MMA debuts lined up, just on chat.
Oh, I know, man. I've seen you defend me to the end, dude. You'll straight up, you defend all of us, man. A gogi, it don't matter what it is. Anytime I see any kind of conflict, you best believe there's gonna be a Kyle Mays raising Cane under it.
Well, what bothers me is, it's man, if somebody says the truth and if it hurts, hey, I'll leave it alone. But when it's just a lie, you know, just or it's someone who's not familiar with the situation, you know, I just can't handle it, man. And a lot of it is it's people that don't know you, that don't know the gym, that don't know the story, that don't know it, and they or don't know how you train, and they type all this garbage out, and it just doesn't make any sense, man.
Yeah, I know, man. Keyboard warriors, and yeah, I know. It's just gonna be part of it. I reckon, man. It's been it's been wild.
But you have had a lot of support, though.
Oh God, man. Oh Jesus. I can't even begin to tell you how much support I got, man. I literally went to the post office up the road here a while ago to mail something out, and that the guy working at the desk was like, "How you doing today, Mr. Pete?" And they wanted to come around and take a picture with me and stuff. So I mean, it's everywhere, man, and die hard support too, man. Like after that loss to Chepe, man, I didn't do anything but gain even more fans. I mean, I was that undefeated record, man. That it started put a little bit of pressure on me just because, like, I mean, it had been so long since I'd tasted a defeat, and even when I had lost, I wasn't really training during that time. So I felt like the Chepe fight was really and truly the first real loss of my entire Amy and pro career. I mean, them losses I had, like I said, I wasn't training,
Yeah.
little redneck kid showing up to fight. And I felt like that was the first true loss I'd ever had in my career. And man, the love and support that I got from family, friends, people that I've never even talked to has been. I'm so blessed, man. I've had, these hardships and stuff, just scary times have had me, at a point where I didn't really even know if I wanted to do this stuff anymore. It's just personal stuff I had going on in my life, it kind of took a lot of the fun out of it for me. But I always think about all these sponsors and everybody that's invested in me this far, whether it be with love, support, or financially, everybody that's helped me. And man, if I didn't have the support system that I have, if I didn't have these, few thousand people that really and truly believe in me, man, I don't know if I'd have made it this far. I know I wouldn't have made it this far. I mean, it's just been incredible that the people that God's put in my life, and good support too, man. It ain't. I mean, everybody's got the, I guess, fake support when you're on top, and then start to fall off. They kind of stray away. But man, these most of my people are, God, they're so solid. I got so many people I could call, right now. I mean, and they'd be here, man. God's awesome. When I first started, kind of going into the journey of, trying to live for God and figure out who he even was and get a relationship with him, man, I was so lonely, just because, man, I had been so accustomed to surrounding myself with friends and everything for, most of my life. But, unfortunately during that time, them friends of mine was kind of like, they didn't want to go the route that I was going. And I kept hanging around trying to have these conversations, and they'd get mad about me talking and everything. And one thing led to another, man. I just kind of realized, like, hey, I got to go on, I got to go try to get better by myself. And, Lord willing, maybe they'll follow if they can see how good I'm doing. And some of them did. And, unfortunately, some of them ain't here anymore. It's tough, man. That's so tough. But, I was pretty lonely, whenever I started all of it, but it was good for me, but God slowly started to put wonderful people in my life, and some of them was seasonal people, and some of them still with me. I feel like everybody's got seasonal people in their lives that they come in, and they're it works for a little bit, and then it just kind of, it's just a seasonal person, man. That's just the way it is. But God's put great seasonal people in my life, and he's put great, rock foundation people in my life that, I truly believe that whenever we all leave this old earth, they'll still be with me. I ain't got too many people just riding my coattail, man. I'm pretty picky about who I just let, hang around, and everybody around me's, they're gold, man. Little diamonds in the rough, man. Everybody I got.
So that Chepe fight, man. It seemed like, every opponent that was getting put in front of you was not showing up to fight you.
I know, man.
They were having to have replacements. Was that? I mean, I know that was a difficult fight, especially for you. For Chepe, I think it was probably easier because he was training with Justin Gaethje. What better style to match up against the Trevor Peak than training with Gaethje?
I know, dude. They told me he'd been training with Gaethje afterwards. I said, man, I wished I'd known that. And they was like, well, what would you have done different? I said, well, I probably wouldn't have threw 100 uppercuts. I probably wouldn't have been throwing so many uppercuts. I mean, he's the king of uppercuts in that division, So, but yeah, God forbid, I ain't gonna try to ever be the guy that goes on social media and was like, man, I had this going on, this happened. But my Lord, man, what a rough training camp. I mean, really and truly, man, Chepe beat me fair and square, and, he was the better man that night. But, man, I had a terrible camp. I couldn't do anything. I had to run and swim most of it. I got to spar a little bit when we was 2 weeks out. I tried packing like 7 weeks worth of sparring in the last 2 weeks or last 3 weeks, and it was just it wasn't the healthiest way to go about it, man. But I had to get some kind of movement, and just in my diet. God, man, I didn't know about weight cuts. I mean, I can get the weight off. I'll die before I miss weight, but I didn't know anything about really this, the process of cutting weight and everything. And like for instance, I couldn't sleep whenever I'd start, dehydrating myself. I couldn't sleep. So I got it in my head. I was like, well, if I'm going to be up all night, miserable, sleep thirsty and everything. I'm just gonna cut my weight at night. I ain't gonna be sleeping anyways. I'm just gonna cut my night. I'm just gonna start cutting weight at like 1 or 2 a.m. and then I'll cut till weigh-in time. And man, it worked, but God, it wasn't the answer, man. And like everything I did, I'd starved myself there at the end. I didn't know how to water load properly, and like when I started the cut for Chepe, I was 5 pounds heavier than I had been, or no, I was let's see, 4 pounds heavier than I had been in the last three 155 weight cuts. I was 4 pounds heavier when I started the cut, but whenever I got in the octagon, I was 5 pounds lighter than I had been being. Like I've been getting in the octagon weighing about 175 ish, and whenever I got to the venue to fight Chepe, I was 170, and I should have been 175 to 177 because, like I said, I was heavier when I started it, but I just it made me sick. I was sick. I couldn't get my liquids down. I was daggum dry heaving and stuff. Like I really and truly did not get replenished at all, man. I mean, my dad was like, "Was you sick?" And he's like, "You look daggum pale." And it's crazy, man. I daggum ran around with my shirt off whenever, I said I had to run a lot. So, I mean, I was running around with my shirt off trying to get a decent tan. And I had a pretty good tan, man, but I looked as white as a ghost whenever I got in there. And it was meant to be, man. I mean, I was supposed to lose that fight. I have no doubt. Between my whole training camp, the way it went, the opponent switch 8 days out. I mean, that's just the way the cards fell. But man, I'm glad that it happened. It changed my life. It changed my thinking on things. It let me realize, some things even during the octagon that. And well, I mean, I think everybody's seen after my last performance, man. I learned to try. I'm trying to learn to dial it back. I think last fight I probably dialed it back a little too much, but my God, man, people don't understand how hard it is for me to control this daggum thing inside of me, man. It's challenging, man. That's why I love getting in there, man, because I got a meanness inside of me. I can't help it, and it's hard to control it, man. That chaos, that violence, it's really tough to put a bridle on, man. I have to try to bridle myself back at times. And after the Chepe fight, I got to see how effective his small shots was, and him just being more composed. And it was a real blessing. But yeah, I'm glad it happened, man. And I got that O off my record. I mean, don't get me wrong. I wanted to be undefeated the rest of my life, man. But getting to see how that loss felt, getting to see how I responded to it, how my fans, my people, everybody responded to it, man, it was just, I'm glad it happened now. I mean, I really am. The things that fight taught me is much more valuable than, the win money I would have won that night. So it's going to work out, man. I'm just going to have to keep improving and just keep improving. But, we got with a dietitian for this last fight, man, Mr. Mark Hernandez. And Kyle, I can't tell you enough, brother, how much he has changed my life, dude. I mean, I went from daggum cutting weight for daggum 8 to 10 hours probably off and on, not consistently, obviously, but pretty consistent. But I mean, I had my weight off within like 2 hours this last time. I mean, dude, it was incredible, man. I mean, I went to run me a hot bath and I got in there on my knees and I was kind of letting it, finish getting full and everything. And before I even got down in the bath, man, I had beads of sweat on my forehead. I just started smiling. I said, "Oh, son, this is going to be easy, by God." I was fired up, dude. And it was. His replenish method was wonderful. I mean, everything they did, man. I felt better at the ceremonial weigh-ins when we went and, did the ceremonial weigh-ins. I felt better in that moment. I was more ready to fight this last time on ceremonial day than I was the whole next day when I fought Chepe. I mean, I was on fire at the weigh-ins, man. I told Finney, I said, dude, I whoop a crap out of him right now, man. I was like, I'm so ready to go. I was like, that guy's changed my life. He's like, dude, you look good. And Yahyah looked, he looked pretty rough, man. I seen him sigh. He did that big sigh whenever he was getting up on the scale and everything. And I was like, "Oh, wait, son, you're in trouble, brother. You're in trouble." I knew it, man. Even, I said that thing about smell fear is easy and smell barbecue. You know, kind of had that one. Oh my God, I didn't even know she had the shirt on, son. Ooh wee. But yeah, dude, I kind of said that, but you know, and oh no, it kind of turned out to be a joke, but I wasn't kidding about that sense and fear stuff, man. I mean, that boy had it written all over him, and I'm sure it was, you know, just the pressure of being where he was at. He might have had a day like I had whenever I fought Chepe. He might not have got replenished. A lot of things, but either or, I could sense it like nothing, man. It just he did not want to be in there. I was screaming at him. The camera wouldn't panned over to me, but before they told us to go, man, I was screaming at him in the octagon. I said, "Oh, you're scared. Oh, brother, you're scared, man." And then I took him down and I got in his ear and I said, "You're in trouble, brother. You're in trouble."
I'll never talk bad about a fighter because I'm not a fighter, but I did see all the things that you're saying with Mohammad Yahyah.
Yep.
I also, I understand he may have had a terrible weight cut or I'm not saying that or anything. However, he was in UAE where he lives. You had to travel 18 hours to get to him.
Man.
He was surrounded by his friends and family. I mean, if anyone had an excuse to not be up to, it was you. It wasn't him. He should have been ready,
I know it, man. It's I've heard so many people say, whenever you make that UFC debut, it's almost like starting your career over, and I believe that wholeheartedly, man. I mean, but it's kind of like you might be the toughest guy in your neighborhood, but are you the toughest guy over here in this neighborhood? And that might have been like some of the issue was he was running into, man. I mean, he was still their champion over there, yeah. Wasn't he still their champion?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know what I mean? Like maybe he was the big fish in that pond, but there's a whole world of people that's just so talented and
now you're basically their champion, right? You're the king of UAE, right?
UAE, baby. Yeah, man, I reckon. I had a blast over there, man. It was me and Finney, poor Finney, dude. He couldn't get acclimated to nothing, man. That joker'd sleep right in the middle of the day and he'd be up all night and just I don't even know if he really tried to get acclimated, man. He just slept when he wanted to. And it was, I felt bad for him, man. He just fought on the Contender Series, got him a win, Unfortunately, Dana, made a bad decision that night. But, normally as soon as he gets done fighting, man, that joker blows up. I mean, he gets thick. God, he gets thick, man. He goes from like 207 to like 220. I mean, like that, dude. And we was over there. We'd been over there for probably about 5 or 6 days. And I said, "What you weigh?" And he was like 206, 207. And I was like, "Dang, man, you're staying pretty lean." He said, "I can't find nothing to eat over here that like." And I said, "Dude, you'd fight at 170 if you lived over here." I mean, he ordered curry, man. Everything over there tastes like curry for the most part. And it ain't my thing, man. I've had it a time or two with some other spices, I guess, and it kind of worked for me then. But for the most part, man, curry's for the birds, brother. I just ain't a fan of it. And Vinny ain't either. And like, he ordered a pizza one night, man, and they had some kind of weird pepperonis. They're weird about pork over there. And he was like, my pepperoni tastes like curry. I said, "Are you serious?" And he was like, "I can't handle it, man." I mean, bless his heart. But we end up finally getting over to some more American style restaurants or little Irish pub type restaurants with some good wings or something. And, he started putting it back on, but I felt bad for him for a little bit, man. He's rough off, but it was different world over there, brother. That's everybody was so friendly to me for the most part, man. I think the first spot of town we kind of ended up whenever we first got there, everybody kind of like, they wasn't rude, I wouldn't say, but like the interactions between them, they kind of seemed like we was maybe like a nuisance to them or something. Like they didn't really want to have interactions with us. But for the most part, everywhere else we went was like they was super super nice to me, man. It was I thought everybody over there'd kind of be turds to me, but it was weird, man. I was almost like the people's person over there, like you know, UAE, you have your Emirati people, the super rich, loaded people, and Yahya was Emirati. And, you know, they don't really have to my knowledge, they don't have to really do just a whole lot over there. The things they do, they've got the really good jobs and everything. And then you've got all these other people that's like from different countries who's ended up over there, and they're the taxi drivers, the food workers, they're the blue collar people of UAE, and like they was kind of rooting for me, man. I was like the poor people's champ over there, and it was cool, man. But I'll tell you one thing, Kyle, them son of a guns cannot drive, dude. Jesus Christ. We've been there about when Feeney went out there before. You know, we was required to be there. Had a sponsor help me out with the Airbnb and everything, and so we went out there early to try to get acclimated to that time switch and everything. And we finally I got an email about 4 days after we've been there in the UFC, all these guidelines they give us, and they're like, you know, if you get in trouble here, it's on you, pretty much. They're like, you're abiding by their laws, you ain't in America no more, like behave, pretty much. And then there at the end of the email, it was like, oh, if you rent a car, be cautious, be extremely careful. UAE is one of the highest rated places in the world for road deaths. And I look at Finney, I said, dude, we already knew that. And but their horns, man, beep beep. I mean, they don't use them like we use them here. I don't reckon they're kind of more of like a, hey, I'm right here. I just letting everybody know where they're at. I reckon like over here, it's kind of like people's kind of being buttholes, but I didn't know that for a while we was over there, so I thought everybody was buttholes. And I'm like, what? Beefing at me. It's just I'm like, dude, Finney's like, dude, you're going to chill out. And I'm like, dude, I'm cutting weight. I'm doing all this. I'm like, I'm going to get in a fight before we fight. I can't handle it, man. And it's just, yeah, man, it was wild, but it was a heck of an experience, dude. Their infrastructure it's beautiful, man. They get stuff done over there, man. They don't work like we work here. I mean, you'd see a building go up a day over there almost, man. They some workers, son, and I'm sure they ain't got OSHA and all that barking down their back like we do here, but they some workers, man. It's a beautiful place. A lot of sand.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, there's a lot of people from Nepal and other countries there. The only experience I have, I've never been to UAE, but in Kuwait, I had to deal with, they're driving. I saw a guy that he got in a fatality crash, right? Well, when the ambulance, I can't even remember if an ambulance showed up. All I remember was instead of the body going off to the ambulance, the family came and just loaded him in their car. I was like,
serious?
Yes.
God, man, yeah, it's different over there, dude.
It's different, man. I'd never seen anything like it. I was like, what? Yeah, me and my brother were over there. We were seeing that whole thing go down. We're like, man, but yeah, you're right. They drive. Are there speed limits over there?
Yes, I had $120 worth of traffic violations the first night we was there, dude. They have cameras everywhere. I didn't never even have to talk to a cop, but yeah, and their speed limits wasn't consistent like it is here. You know, you get on an interstate or something here, it's 70 for the most part. And like, you come to a city intersection, something like that, it might slow down, but it's pretty consistent. Over there, man, it was like, it'd say 140 kilometers, it'd drop down to 80, it'd go up to 100, it'd go to 120. And like a lot of times there wouldn't even be a road sign, like, and their cars have all these crazy sensors on it and stuff. So it would tell you when you were speeding. I'm like, how did it go from 140 to 80 and the road looks exactly the same? Nothing's changed. There's no cities. There's no extra nothing. It was crazy, man. But yeah, I had $120 worth of traffic violations the first night we was there. And then I kind of come to grips that I was just going to keep it at like 100 kilometers everywhere we went, unless I seen otherwise. But it was, they billed me for that.
Well, it was, I've watched that fight over and over. And I know, for a lot of fans that have seen you fight before, and you even said it, and maybe you dialed it back. I thought, from my perspective, it was the perfect display of the evolution of your game, man.
Yeah.
You look good in the wrestling. You look good in the striking. You look good in the jiu-jitsu exchanges with him. I thought you were going to finish him, honestly. I thought you were going to choke him out there for a minute.
Yeah, I was aiming for a submission, man. I ain't never gone after one in my entire career, but I finally, honestly, I thought I would catch a submission before I lost. Yeah, I was trying to keep that knockout record going. I was gonna say how long I could keep my knockout streak going, man. And but I thought a submission would come on accident or something, and then I was like, well, once I get a submission on my record, then I'll start doing all of them, man. But I lost to Chepe, and then I was like, man, I'm gonna try to strangle somebody, and he did real good about turning away from like the things he did was good. And I'm still new to really implementing the ground game in the octagon. And it was like, my mind was still kind of zooming a little bit, like on a little bit frantic on what to do next. But I'm still improving, man. Just going to keep getting better and better and better. But I do feel like I was a little too reserved. I think if I'd went in there and fought like I normally fought, I mean, I think I could have got him out of there in the first round, but I wanted to prove to myself that I can bridle it back a little bit. I just got to be able to put the chaos with the bridling and not one or the other, which I have a lot more hard time like with the chaos part, so I'm just excited, man. Fired up about all of it. I think I impressed a lot of people. I think I disappointed a lot of people with no craziness, but I'm everybody like that's listening that wants to see the chaos, bear with me. Like, it ain't gone. I promise it's not gone. It won't ever leave. But like, I've got to evolve. I've got to cement myself in this organization, man. And honestly, dude, if they'd have given me the bonus when I fought Chepe, regardless of the loss, I probably that changed me a little bit, Kyle. I mean, I done, man. Whenever I was figuring everything up and the potential what I could make with this first career, my first contract. I mean, I was counting bonuses, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going out there and I'm giving you a bonus worthy fight every time I go in there, man. I'm trying my best to give you a bonus worthy fight because them jokers just don't know like how bad I need it. I mean, I need them, man. Very bad, very, very much so. And like, whenever I went in there and fought that fight like I fought with him, man, and they give the bonus to, a guy that got beat up for 4 rounds and come back a little bit and had a good fifth round, like, it just kind of broke my spirit a little bit with them, man. And it really was, I was like, man, winning has got to be more important than excitement, because like I said, I got to cement myself in this organization because, right now, I mean, I'm a good prospect and stuff, man, but I'm not cemented in the organization by all means. So winning's got to be more important for right now.
Those wrestling trips were amazing. Even DC said something about it on commentary.
Dude, they make me so mad. DC and them, like, dude, I go in there and I'm a wild man and I'm chaotic. They're like, he needs to calm down. And then I go in there and I calm down. They're like, but does he really need to get away from the things that makes him fun, that makes him exciting, that got him here? And I'm like,
what do you want?
What do you want? What do you want?
Yeah.
It's just, I know that's their job and everything, but I'm like, pick one, dude. You want chaos? You want composure?
Laura Seiko for commentary every UFC fight. That's what I say. She's the best.
Yeah, she was my wife in another life, I guess.
She's the best.
Dude, I used to have such a big crush on her, and then I realized she's married, and I was like, dude, dang. Yeah. Hey, I met her on the first time I ever met her, man. Me and Logan went out to Las Vegas to do my promo video for the contender series, dude. It's like 8 or 9 a.m. I mean, it's pretty early. Like, she ain't got no makeup on. She's got her coffee. Like, you could tell, like, she just was like, I want to get my coffee. I want to go to my room. I want to be left alone. But, dude, she come walking on the elevator, and I just started pointing at her. And I literally followed her with my finger. It's just her and I on the elevator, and I'm pointing at her. And then she finally looks at me, and I'm still just pointing at her. And she's like, just her eyes get real weird. And I'm like, you're Laura Sanko. And she was like, I am. She said, I don't look like Laura Sanko right now. And I was like, oh my God. And Logan come on there. For Logan to be as good of a fighter as he is and been around the sport as long as he has, man, that joker really don't know jack about the UFC. I was like, dude, do you know who this is? And he was like, no. And I was like, it's Laura Sanko, man. I was like, she's the lady from Contender Series. And I was so starstruck, man. I forgot to hit my elevator floor. I had to ride all the way to the top with her and then ride back down. It was kind of embarrassing, but yeah, she's a sweetheart, man.
Hey, she became a fan after the Contender Series.
Yeah, I believe she did too, man. She's a real sweet lady.
Yeah, she's one of my favorites. I mean, I'm always excited when she's on the commentary because she kind of brings, oh, she brings that a vibe that's not so negative towards one way or the other. She always sees a positive in the fights. That's why I like her a lot. You know, it's not a lot of this one way. You know, well now he's being too aggressive. He needs to dial it back, and then you dial it back with a display of pure mixed martial arts. I thought, you know, you the whoever's going to say, you know, there's always going to be somebody's got a problem with something, you know. But I thought, dude, and you got to have a dance partner too. He caught you one time, right? That was only?
Yeah. He tagged me pretty good one time, man. It didn't rock me or whatever. Like I had a strain still in my neck, and from the count before when I was getting ready for Chepe, I messed my neck up bad, dude. It's good now, but he caught me one time, and it kind of hurt. I felt my neck kind of make a cracking sound. It kind of hurt, but yeah, he didn't land anything to the face. It was just like detrimental, or really that I even felt, other than that one on my neck. But he landed one good knee to the body, and I was kind of like, but I was so conditioned, man. It went it went away so quick. I mean, that feeling did. So I mean, it was I was just ready, man. You know, a lot more conditioned, healthy, and everything. But yeah, he ran from me a lot, man. That's what you know, Kurt Holloway, Ultimate Fighter winner. He was he even commented on there. He's like, Trevor Peake needs somebody that'll stand in front of him and won't run away from him. He's like, I'm your guy, and he started posting all over my account, and I was like, hey, brother, like we can get down with it, but I was like, they gonna pay me. You know, I ain't got to be the guy that sits here and I'm like, I'm worth $3 million a fight. I ain't got to be that guy. You know I got to work my way up, but at the end of the day, I know that guy's making a good bit more money than I'm making. So, like, I'm gonna try to be smart, man. It ain't like, if up to me, like, just the grittiness and the I want to say, like, I don't want to say cockiness, but the confidence. I guess I like. If they call me out, it's like, it's really hard for me not to be like, all right, man, let's get it. But I do know that there's a time and place for certain skill level of fights, man. I'm not a big fan of Sean O'Malley. I don't like him at all, really. I love watching his fights and, you know, the knockouts that he gets, but just as a person, man, he kind of gets on my dang nerves. He's like a big colored haired kid, man, that says things he shouldn't say. But I do like his approach to his career. You know, he's handled a lot of things himself, and he's been real selective on when to fight certain level of fights. And I do want to kind of implement that in my own career, man. I don't want to fight. I'm going to be taking brain damage, man. I want to get paid for it, you know. So there's going to be a time and a place for fights like that. And dude, they want to pay me a little bit more money. I'll fight Kurt Holloway right now, man. It ain't a skill thing or anything like that. Dude's super well rounded. He hits like a daggum Mack truck. But at the end of the day, man, I'm pretty confident in my abilities. I just want to get paid for what the fight's worth, you know?
Hey, that makes sense, right? I mean, you've done up to this point, you've done exactly what's been asked of you. First two fights, you had opponent changes, right? You know, your third fight's the only one that was the guy that you knew coming into camp that you were going to fight him. I mean, you've been the underdog to the analysts and stuff for the majority of your career, honestly, Trevor. You've always fought those tough fights. You've never said no to anyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's I've most definitely, man. I've had a pretty tough career. You know, I mean, I've made a lot work of it, but as far as like skill level and matchmaking and stuff like that, man, I've got a good resume. I mean, I really believe I've got a good resume, and that's, you know, that stuff. That resume is why why Chepe didn't put me out, or why I even got a UFC contract to begin with, man. That them fights like with Greg Hawkins and stuff like that, man. I mean, I had been tested. You know, this chin had been tested, my grit had been tested, my durability, and just the willingness, my willpower to try to win. It's just it all been tested, and I'm just super grateful for the matchmaking that I had and the opponents that give me the opportunity to build my resume and everything. It's been heck of a journey, man. God, it's cool, man. It really is cool, Kyle. I mean, dude, I'd be up for that weeks, dude, just not slept none. I remember one conversation in particular, and I've talked about it multiple times, and stuff. But man, there's one time, dude, I've been up for like I want to say like 5 or 6 days, and a buddy of mine was over there and was up, spun out of our minds that morning, and I was just like, man, and I was in them conversations about us getting right, and I was just like, his name was Michael, and I was like, Michael, I really think if I could get my life together, dude, I really, truly, dude, I think I can make it. I do think I can make it in the UFC, dude. And, it's just, here I am, man. I mean, it's just, and that, all it is God. I mean, 100%, dude. It's all God, and just, it's awesome, man. I feel sorry for the world, man, that don't know Jesus, man, because whether you love him, whether you know him, believe in him, or don't believe in him, man, he's a part of every single person that's walking this earth. He's inside of you. You have a Holy Spirit inside of you. You have the Spirit. He's a part of you. Like I said, if you don't believe in him, he's still a part of you. And if you don't ever come to grips with that, then you're never going to know yourself. I mean, you're never going to know yourself. It's crazy to me. I've been lost so many times, man. Even after I got a relationship with God, lustful desires, chasing after these worldly things, man, I've lost sight of him at times, and I've lost myself. God, I've lost myself so many times, man. It's just who we are as people. I've watched people sit up there and give their testimonies, and they're like talking about drifting away from God, and I'm like, man, you're crazy. Ain't no way. How could you ever drift away from something? And something you lust after comes by, and it's, oh, whoops, there you go. It's just it's amazing, man. I wished everybody in the world would just try him out, man. Just try him out. Uh it frustrates me, man. It's the most mocked religion on earth. Everybody respects Buddhism, Muslims. I mean, everybody respects their religion, but the Christianity and Jesus is the biggest mockery religion in the whole entire world, man. People make such of a mockery of it, and I just don't. I'm like, why? If you don't want to believe in it, that's fine. I hate it for you. God, I hate it for you because I know what goodness it is. But man, like, I just don't. I don't understand people, man. And even if you chose this life, like, it's not a bad life. I mean, get somebody to read Proverbs, pretty straight, cut and forward, great advice. I mean, dude, it's just it blows my mind how many people in this world like will never even give him a chance.
Yeah. I had one guy from our past. Uh, One time we were talking, and they were talking about your fight career, and they were saying that if that you'd be a drug addict or you'd be dead if you hadn't, you know, you weren't in this business or whatever, and like you had been found or whatever, and I was like, well, nobody found Trevor but God, and and the
Yeah, that's it, man. That's 100% it, man. May
yeah
24th, 2017, at a little house in Cartersville, Alabama, man, 10:05 p.m. I've got a clock. I just got, I had a wild moment, went and got a tattoo right after my last fight in Abu Dhabi, man. And I got a clock on my wrist that says 10:05 p.m. And I mean, I don't, you know what I mean? I look at that every day, man. I mean, it's very real, very, very, very real, man. That was the first time I'd really encountered God and knew it was God, man. I mean, I knew it was God. I mean, my best friend during that time that had been with me through, man, had been through me through a lot. I had a lot of friends that kind of strayed off that couldn't go through some of the things that I had to go through, and he stuck with me, man. He rode it out with me, and he even come by that night and he said, "I've never seen you like this, Trevor." And I'm like, "I've never been like this, man." I said, "Something's inside of me. Something's got a hold of me. Something's changing me. I don't know what's wrong, man, but I've never felt like this. I'm scared." Like, it was just a wild experience, man. I got out in the yard. I broke down. I started crying, man. I still know the tennis shoes I was wearing, Kyle. I still have the same pair of shorts I had on, man. I know exactly what I was wearing. I know exactly what time it was. I can take you and put my knees on the spot in the yard that I was at. It started raining on me, man. It was just it was a good experience, man. And it's I wished I wouldn't have failed him like I have so many times since then. But he's loved me through them.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the journey, and that was the thing that the point I was trying to get across the most is no manager, not me, not a fight promoter, not the UFC, not nothing found Trevor Peak. God found Trevor Peak. I mean, you had that interview with Michael Bisping after the fight where you said, you know your purpose now. Well, that's why you know your purpose. Like, the direction of your life is now has meaning. You have a message to give. You have a story to tell. And that's what's great about your story. That's what's great about the Peak Nation, that you get to tell this story too. Uh it's just phenomenal. I did have one question. It's kind of going back to the fighting thing just for a second. Do you, Bryce Mitchell? I know you like Bryce a lot. You guys are kind of similar. A lot similar in your faith. Both of you guys have strong faith. Uh, this past weekend with that knockout, him taking that fight on short notice as well. Uh, I mean, what did you feel about that?
Man, I hurt for him, dude. That was see him like having that shakeout on the mat on the canvas after he got knocked out, man, and just Bryce seemed, dude. I hadn't, I'm not gonna sit here and act like we're best friends or anything, but I got to be around him for a very short amount of time, and just hearing his testimony and seeing who he is on at least by social media, anyways. See the things he's into, man. He's seems like a real solid dude, and my heart my heart hurt for him, but that's the name of this game, man. She don't care about no one. She'll let anybody take a canvassing out, and
Yeah,
it's that's tough. I was worried for Bryce in that fight, man, just because like you you need a camp for him. He's too powerful to not have a camp for, man. And I mean, even though it's that same daggum punch he throws so much, it is very crucial to have that muscle memory built in before you get there on what you need to do, where your head needs to be, what combination you need to follow up with, where you need to slip for a takedown. Like, he should have been drilling that overhand, daggum, slipping it to a takedown, or countering it with his own straight, slipping it. Like, there were so many things that he didn't have time to build that muscle memory behind, man. It's heck. I know what it's like fighting somebody on short notice, man. Obviously, I haven't been in a predicament where I've been called up yet, and fought somebody on short notice on the other side of it. But I do know what it's like to have to. Well, everything I've been working on, or everything I thought was going to go, totally out the window. Chepe was the worst one, man. His style versus Victor Martinez was daylight and dark. I looked at my coaches and they was like, "Oh yeah, I could tell I could tell they knew it was like, well, it's gonna be a much tougher fight." And I knew that when I signed the dotted line, man. I was like, "Whew, about to be way tougher of a fight."
yeah.
Yeah, my
You
heart goes out to Bryce and them, man. I'm actually gonna talk to him and everything. We exchange numbers, and I'm gonna go up there and try to get some training in with him, and see if maybe one day he wants to, maybe hop on here and join us on this thing.
Absolutely. I would love to facilitate that, even if I'm not on it and you two guys just talk. I think that would be perfect, man. Or I could just, dude, that would be amazing. I think you guys have a lot in common. Uh, I think it'd be a good conversation.
I do too. Yeah, he's a character, man. He's
I might
funny.
not talk about flat Earth, but
Yeah, yeah. The beat. He's super cool, man. I got a lot of respect for Bryce.
yeah, that was a tough one. It was a tough one to watch. You know, it's just good. It's good to see the good guys still though in this game. You don't talk a lot of trash like the other guys. You wouldn't dare say anything about somebody's father. What'd you think about Joe?
Oh my God, man! When is the line going to be drawn? There's got to be a line. I feel so, man. Sean Strickland's my favorite champion of all time, man. I know he says some things and does some things that ain't even really of Christian values, but at the end of the day, man, like if you pay attention to some of the things he says, they are diamonds. Like he wants our country to be better, he wants our men to be better. Like there is certain things that he says, and so a lot of that's just building fights and stuff, anyways, man. But like I've spent some time with Sean, out in Vegas a little bit here and there, and I don't understand it, man. Like why, if you like the comments about Dracus and his coach and just everything in the back, like there's people gonna say dumb things like Sean was saying, but like man, to bring up something so traumatizing. I mean, that's tough, man. Being abused, whether it be sexual, physical, whatever the abuse may be, man, being abused and used, especially as a child, man, like something that in your most sensitive time in your life, when you're developing the most in your life, and you're being treated like that. And then, I just, I can't, man. There's got to be a line drawn.
Yeah,
I'll whoop the crap out of somebody, man. I
yeah.
won't make it in my fight day. Somebody starts bringing up some trauma in my life, man. We're fighting it. We'll fight at the press conference, and if anybody gets in my way, dude, I'll sleep them too. And that's
You
just that ain't. I'm not very. I'm loving the Lord, man, but I'm not good at turning the other cheek yet.
well, you saw Leon. Leon had to deal with that. Kobe said something about
Leon's dad. Oh yeah, Leon's dad. That's where he's going. That's yeah, dude.
but I mean both sides though. You're right. It was a double whammy this weekend with
Yeah, that's I know, man. It's just like at what point? At what point are we all going to collectively come together and say, wives, kids, abuse, that's off the table.
yeah,
I just my heart breaks for him. Regardless of what kind of dad, what kind of person like Leon Edwards' dad was, like man, to grow up without his dad and him already and knowing himself what kind of person maybe his dad was, and having to see his mama struggle her whole life to upbring him and raise him and his siblings, whatever he's got by herself, like it's a challenge in itself. And then you got a man up here that's trying to build a fight and embarrass you and bring up things that you've had to deal with your entire life, man. I don't understand people, man. I'm serious, dude. I'll liable to throw my whole career away if somebody I just can't, man. I've got a line, don't cross it.
yeah.
You ain't crossing my line.
I did respect Dana White though taking going back to Drakus and Sean. The fight erupted in the arena where Sean let the child move out of the way and then he jumped on, in the crowd.
They
But
pan they pan the camera over right before that, and Miles and them hadn't. Was over at Miles' house watching. Miles and them hadn't seen all that stuff, and I said, "Well, they're gonna fight." I said, "Why do they got them sitting together?" I was like, "They're gonna fight. They're going to end up and fight." And then, like about 5 minutes later, Miles said, "Boy, you called that?" And I said, "What?" And they said, "Somebody just sent the group that Strickland and Drakus got in a fight." And I said, "Yeah, I mean, I told you." And then he seen it, and he was like, "Oh,
yeah,
well, now I know." And I'm like, "Yeah." Dana did that on purpose, man. He did that on purpose. We ain't stupid. We know you did that on purpose, Dana. Trying to build that fight. Right? We ain't stupid, man.
I'm just glad Sean didn't get arrested or I think Drakus didn't press charges or anything like has been done in the past.
Yeah. Oh, Covington.
God,
Kobe sucks, man. God, dude. Like, Kobe sucks. Yeah.
yeah, it's tough. Such a great. It's like Leon said, great fighter, amazing fighter, terrible human being. Like that's what's it's sad. Uh, one last thing, in the fighting world I want to talk about before we get off here. Uh, Did you get to watch Dedrick Sanders fight at Nashville Underground?
That
He,
kid's good though.
he fought Angel Alvarez, who was 6-1. Um, it was a good fight, man. I really like Dedrick. I hope Dedrick gets his opportunity to be up there with you, or at least be on the Contender Series, because Dedrick he's our Leon Edwards of the regional scene. You know, real quiet, mild mannered, but really, really good.
Yeah, he's like I don't want to say he's same. He's just different character for sure. It kind of seems like it's almost like he tunes out the world. You
Yeah.
know, even day to day, like just being around. Like God, I don't even know if I've ever even had a conversation with Edric, but like I've been around him, you know, and he just kind of seems like he's in his own little bubble, man. And I think honestly that makes him a lot more dangerous in the cage because I don't think that guy. I don't think he has any thoughts about what the world thinks of him or how he's going to do or any fear like that. I think that Joker just goes in there and fights and he's on. And it's just, you know, when he fought Logan, we didn't we didn't know that cat was as dangerous as he was, man. I mean, we had a few options. I watched him. I said, I feel like he's the best option you got right now as far as stylistically. And, you know, one thing led to another, and we found out that, you know, he was very much a very game and skilled fighter. And, you know, when he fought Van Kemp, I mean, it's just, he's good, man. I do expect him to get his shot to go to the Contender Series for 100%, dude.
Yeah, he's a good guy, man. Real quiet guy, but he's a silent assassin, man. Speaking of Logan Hunter Neal, I expect big things from him this coming up year, man.
I do
Uh,
too. Logan's, yeah, I do too, man.
what a
He's,
great fight. Anthony Morgan, the
yeah,
spoiler.
yeah.
Uh, golly, man.
Logan, man, when Logan Neal's firing off, man, when he's in that good headspace and he's confident in himself, man, he's one of the toughest men I've ever tussled with. He's very skilled, very hard to deal with, man. When he's in the gym and he's firing off, he's a rough round, you know. And but you know, some people, you know, battle with you know, mental like confidence issues and stuff. And I told Logan the other day, it wasn't too long ago. I said, man, I said, dude, I said, if you believed in yourself as much as I believe in you, dude, I said, ain't no doubt in my mind you'd make it wherever you want to, dude. I said, if you start believing in yourself as much as I believe in you, dude, you're gonna make it. You're gonna make it wherever you want to go, man. And he can, 100%, dude. That Joker can make it wherever he wants to go. He's been to fight anybody at any moment. Not ready to fight, he'll fight them. But you know, he's got to stay on the path that he's on right now and keep building his confidence levels, man. And I have no doubt he can go to the UFC, Bellator, PFL, wherever he wants to go.
Yeah. A lot of guys, a lot of killers in the gym that you train at. Torres, Finney, look for whatever he's got on the horizon. I know he probably can't talk about it.
Yeah, I reckon you know, he hurt his pec the other day. It ain't nothing too serious, but you know, he had to take him a couple weeks, 2 or 3 weeks off to kind of let that little injury heal. But you know, he's been spending time with family, so I hadn't really got to see him last little bit. But he's got some big things on the horizon. I reckon it's gonna be exciting stuff. So he'll probably be back. I think his recovery's done this coming up week. So I guess we're all gonna have to start suffering again. God, man. You talk about rough, man. That's a rough man to deal with in here, dude. Dude, I can get up. I can do anything with about anybody in the world, I feel like, man, for the most part. But that Joker gets you down. And sometimes it's just like, all right, let me up. You know what I mean? Like, all right, you did what you wanted to do. I can't move. Let's get up and spar some more. Like, you're beating the heck out of me. Let's get up.
Well, hey, a lot of the reason why, you know, this is the Pig Nation podcast, a lot of the reason why people tuned in. Is there any news you've got? You got any news up? Are we?
Not as far as upcoming fights. I hadn't heard anything yet. You know, management team and everybody is supposed to be reaching out. I'm guessing February, March. I wouldn't mind hopping on that Miami card March 9th. I think that's when it is. That would be. I might make the pitch for that, man. That's decent driving time from, you know, a lot of my fans, and Miami's pretty cool. I'm actually hopefully going to be working with a new company that just launched on there. I went to Miami last week and, for their grand opening. So I'm actually probably going to be having a little bit of dealings in that area anyways, and it'll just help me keep networking and building my brand. So I might try to hop on that card, but as soon as I figure something out, man, we'll get on here and tell the world. I'm excited about all this, man. Everybody tuning in, like we'll keep putting together better content, and it's our first one. We'll come up with some game plans and stuff and keep putting it out here for you guys and try to stay connected. But I really appreciate this, Kyle, man. I'm gonna have a blast with this, man. Like I said, I was nervous about it and everything. Just I feel like who was it? I feel like Moses a lot of the time, man, when he's like, hey, no, I can't talk. Like, you go to get somebody else. I feel like that sometimes, man. I just get so nervous about things, and life hits and everything, and I kind of had an apology I wanted to give to a few people while I was on here, man. I had some speeches and stuff that I'd give people, my word on that I'd come and give and everything, and man, sometimes life just falls apart for you, just because you made it where you want to in life. As far as career goes, don't mean that life stops for you. I mean, it happens to famous people, unfamous people, successful, unsuccessful. It just, life comes and it hits you, man. And like, I go through weird times, man. I don't want to be around nobody. I'm a really introverted person. So, even to be where I'm at in life, I really, really have to fight with myself, Kyle. I mean, I'd be fine with going and living under a rock with a bow and arrow, man. As long as I could hunt, I mean, I'd be fine with it, man. It's just having to keep evolving and keep turning myself into this person that can go and speak confidently and stuff, man. It's just, I just wanted to apologize to everybody I kind of let down. I'll get back with you guys and we'll figure something out, and I'll come and make it right. But ultimately, I didn't want to, with my headspace, I didn't feel the need to come and give anybody a speech, especially a younger generation. I didn't feel the need to come give nobody a speech with me the way I was. So I apologize to you guys. I am figuring life out, and I'm getting better, and I'll reach back out.
Well, I want to give you props. Going from, I was kind of, before we did this, I was kind of watching the history of, progressions of interviews and stuff. And I watched the interview from your first ever pro fight. Trevor, I mean, the evolution in the cage is astounding. Your evolution on the mic, brother. I mean, you really being able to tell people, the interactions and getting used to this stuff. This is honestly, that's why I did this on the regional scene. Everybody would say, well, Kyle, why, I said, hey man, there might be 10 people watching it at the time when I was doing interviews on the but heck, we're getting reps in. We're getting used to this.
You're right. You're right. I'm going to keep getting better, man. It's just, I really am. I'm a strange character about some things, man. I really am, dude. I have a hard time. Now if I'm in an MMA environment, I'm the guy.
Yeah.
I'm in my element, man. I'm just comfortable there, whether it be an octagon, at the venue, weigh-ins, anything to do fight related, man. I'm the guy. You know what I mean? I'm in my element. I'm confident. I'm there. But everything else, I'm a shy little dude sometimes, man. I go to these new places with all these business people, and I'm just like, yep, all right, cool, man. But like, I mean, after I get warmed up to everybody, I guess I'm the life of what's going on, man. They keep getting me to shut up, but it takes a while, man. I'm pretty shy.
Yeah, you've done good. Look, man, we've talked for an hour and 15 minutes now.
Well, time flies when you're having fun. That's what they say.
Yeah, and I want to make a plug to anybody out here who wants to hop on board, support Trevor in his training camps. Get on the Peak Nation podcast. Get a hold of Trevor. A lot of businesses that have been with him throughout his career. We're super thankful for you guys. But we're trying to keep this thing rolling, man. It's the pride of Pisgah, the king of UAE. Trevor, I got to get you a belt, man. I got to reach out to one of these guys overseas and get you a UAE belt you can put behind you, man.
Dude, I'll take it. 100%, I'll take it, man.
That'd be awesome, man. I mean, if this thing's where I told you that at an event, I said, if this was like old school back in the day, like regional wrestling, of course, this is real, and wrestling, I'm not saying it's fake. I'm just saying, it's a one take, you know, uh, stunt for those guys out there. It's wrestling. But however, if you took that same mentality of the belts, I mean, you'd be the champion of a lot of places. You're still the Aries welterweight champ. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right, man. They don't. I've won a few of them, man. I think I got what, it's like 6 of them, I think. And I've
Yeah.
defeated them a couple times. Yeah,
Seemed like every time you fought for a title. It was a big fight every time,
yeah,
even early.
yep, yeah. I've had some high caliber fights, man, for sure.
But yeah, again, any supporters want to get on here, contact Trevor. Like we did that opening. This episode is brought to you by Agogi Combatives. Remind you guys about that. Agogi Armory, 95 Hunt Drive in Rossville, Georgia. Get to train with the pros. Uh, you got Trevor Peak out there. Mentioned Torres Finney, one of the OGs in the game. Logan Hunter Neal. You get to watch him fight on the regional circuit, the Aries series, fight series. But we could very well see Logan. Logan's a sleeper. Logan's one of these guys that I think that if he rattled off a few wins, we could see him up there with you very well.
He can, man. He can do it. He can 100% do it. But yes, anybody out there, if you're daggum bored with your life, need something to do, just come train with us, man. As far as children go, man, we have the best kids program here. I mean, it is, man, Lord willing, if I do ever have any little ones, man, they will be in daggum a gi from the time they can, man, just because I have firsthand witnessed like the discipline that this stuff teaches, children, adults, teenagers, whatever the case may be. Everybody I've seen come in contact with this sport has just been super grateful that they tried it out, man. So yeah, if you're bored, lonely, ain't got no friends, need something to do, have a bunch of friends, y'all need something to do, whatever the case may be, you're getting picked on, whatever it may be, please come give us a try. It's a family friendly environment, man. We've got best coaches around. We've got just a wonderful atmosphere. CrossFit section in the back. We have a sauna upstairs, locker rooms, showers, like the whole 9 yards, man. I've been in the UFC for a minute now, man. Over a year, I've been in a lot of gyms. The Gogi's still it's still up there, man. It's still probably the nicest gym I've ever been in. So, man, y'all come and train with a UFC fighter.
Yeah. Hey, I do want to mention that there's a story I want to tell real quick. I'd come up there for interviews or something, and you were training, and I noticed this kid off to the side at the mat. It was during the summer, school was out or something. He's kind of kid that was kind of recluse to himself, and I noticed Luke Wilson and Trevor Peak and all these guys rally around this kid. You guys didn't know this kid, but you saw that he was by himself over there. Next thing you know, Trevor's rolling. You're rolling with this kid. And I was just like, man, that is fantastic, you know. And this kid that was kind of recluse to himself, he didn't and next thing you know, he's rolling with a UFC fighter. I mean,
I
how
don't
much
even think he
better?
knew it.
I don't even think he
I
knew.
don't even think he knew what was going down, man. But
Yeah.
yeah, dude, we try to treat everybody cool, man. It's ain't nobody no more special than anybody else here, man. I'm at the low end of the totem pole just like everybody else, man. Come train with me.
Yeah, it was a special time, man. It was a special moment that I noticed. I just wanted to share that. Well, guys, this wraps up the first episode. Trevor, I think we did okay, man.
I had a good time, man. I think it went just fine. I'm excited about all of it, Kyle. I appreciate you so much for everybody. This guy he's been one of the biggest blessings I've had in my life. He's helped push my career and helped get me to the next level. He was doing extra things for me when nobody else was, and creating profiles for me, sending things to Dana, sending things to all the UFC, creating all this content for me. This guy over here has done. He's been as big a part of my career as anybody, and I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, Kyle, for being such a good, wonderful blessing to me, man. It means the world. I'm excited about my future and you're a part of it, man. I appreciate it.
Man, I appreciate you, brother, and I cannot wait to see this story keep being written, man. And we'll hop on here again, I guess, in 2 weeks, man. Episode 2 of the Peak Nation podcast. See you guys.